for presenting me with this. I wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for y'all and this brother right here who listen to my words and look at my videos and get something out of it. Otherwise, I just look like somebody just crazy up in the corner talking to himself, you know? So I definitely appreciate this right here. I fill it up. Fill it up from end to end. Keep him right here. He gonna rock with us.
All right, we got one more presentation. We got the young folks back there. I need the young Africans to come up here.
Y'all go up there.
Come on up here. Up here. Come on, make some noise for you. Now these voices in the room. I want y'all to kick in here. First up, people, what's your name?
Micaiah.
Micaiah, how old are you?
7.
7. What's your name?
Jalen.
Jalen, how old are you?
10.
10. Boy, I thought you was 50 walking up there. Look at it. What y'all want to do when y'all grow up?
I want to be a hairstylist.
Hairstylist, that's right.
YouTuber.
YouTuber? That's what I'm talking about. Give it up for our children.
I know he got to work hard.
Ain't gonna be no shortage of
Money nowadays.
ain't gonna be no shortage of hair.
Y'all want that? Y'all good?
Yeah.
What y'all say when somebody do something?
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Thank you. So the last thing I'm going to say is becomes my honor and privilege. I watched my brother sojourn on this healing battlefield for a very long time. So he brings a dynamic approach to healing and an even greater dynamic approach to decoding. So in order to understand how to truly become unbreakable, there's no way we could be discussing this without it. You see what I'm saying? There's always people, we have our greats that we esteem and that we cheat. But there's always, like the Honorable Messiah Garvey said, I left cubs in the bush. We got to shout the cubs out. We got to shout the cubs out. This is the path of the warrior. This is a warrior healer in our midst who's going to give us those applications and those tools to take us from this broken state, shattered like glass, and reform us and reshape us and allow us to remember that blood and how to protect that blood and give us everlasting life in the truest. So without any further ado, my brother, warrior comrade, KT, the arts degree. Let's show him some love.
Is this just for the camera, or is this, because it's still going to pick me up, right? Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna hold off on the mic. So I can just talk to you. There we go. What's up, man? How y'all doing? All right. Now, before we get started, have you seen any of these movies? Have you seen Unbreakable? Have you seen Split? Oh, she look like she split her decision. Wait a minute now, you do a left. It's a curveball right there.
I heard Unbreakable, but I didn't hear Split.
See, here we go. This ain't Glass.
That's the new one.
Okay. All right, so Unbreakable was the first one 20 years ago. Whole generation. Split was the sequel that came out 5 years ago.
2008. 2008.
Right?
Okay, I saw that.
All right, and then Glass just came out. All right, cool. Want to make sure we all on the same page. So yeah, I deal with Hollywood Decoded. All right, and then I also deal with Green Life Botanicals, and Hollywood Decoded deals with my more metaphysical side. You know, because you got some people who aren't by the book. They're very spiritual. They're very open-minded. They want to know what lies underneath, you know? So that's what my Hollywood Decoded is for. All right, so I can break movies down. I can really go off the planet. And then Green Life Botanicals is more study-oriented, research papers, physiology, body health, this is what it is, facts. People are like, okay, man, what you talk? Prove it to me, and then I can just page 39, paragraph 40, you know. So I deal with both sides, and you know, some of the people who follow me, they deal with both sides. Some people gravitate more towards the movies, some gravitate more towards the health, you know. But today, we're in a situation where, just like with anything else, I kind of foreseen how things cross over, and we're in a place now where health and movies are kind of, because What the Health came out and then everybody turned vegan. Right. You know what I'm saying? Beyonce and Jay-Z said, hey, everybody need to be vegan this year. They listen. You know, so there's some type of entertainment crossover into health now where it's like, okay, when I started this years ago, it looked like I was crazy. Right. But now it's starting to make a little bit of sense. Okay? All right, so Glass. Yo. All right, so M. Night Shyamalan, peep how his actual story mirrors the movie. First off, before we go into anything, glass is a mirror before it shatters. Okay? It's a mirror. Because if you walk by a window, you can see yourself. You can see everything behind you. A mirror is a little bit more on point, but glass is a mirror, and it's a mirror for the director himself. Because when he came out with Sixth Sense and Signs, he was a beast. Everybody was like, yo, he fooling. Right? Then he came out with The Happening, After Earth, which I loved Happening. Happening said that the trees and nature will have you kill yourself. They throwing out spores and people just start losing all their sensibility. I was like, that's deep. That's the herb information right there. People didn't get it. It was too deep. After Earth came, that was deep with Will and Jaden. That people fell asleep on that one too. They didn't get it. You know, he lost me with the Airbender, because I love the last Airbender cartoon, and then they did the movie. He just trashed it. And he started doubting himself the same way that these heroes doubt themselves in Glass. Right? Then he kind of started coming back, you know. So his actual career mirrors this, and that's what I love to convey to the people of how these movies are just like our existence. We live in a holographic reality. We deal with a projection. We deal with a film. We deal with a dark room where there's a picture that we got to analyze. This is our life. And there's studies called neurocinematics, where they study the influence of film on your brain as you watch it. So if you watching Saving Private Ryan, your brain reacting like you at war. If you watching Forrest Gump, you actually think life is like a box of chocolates. You know what I'm saying? We enter into this world because when we wake up, because just living our life is actually a death culture. We wake up in the morning. We wake in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It's all death. When we get up, there's a role we have to play. And it's the same thing with these films. You know, everybody got their place. So if you look at all of these fragments of this glass, they got pretty much pictures going all the way back to Unbreakable up to the Glass point. And in a sense, they're kind of giving you a little bit of insight on what really these movies were about. And the movies were about superheroes and the fact that superheroes are real, and that the only way that a superhero will not be able to be who he is if he believes that he doesn't have that power. So he was playing Heru Anuk. Heru Anuk, I am Heru. I am the one who is above. I am the sun. I am the Avenger. That's why all these years of me breaking down all these Avengers films, I've always talked about the Heru energy in there. Because you can't have the word superhero without hero. You can't have hero without Heru. The archetype of the hero is based on the story of Heru out of Kimberly. As simple as that. So now we're dealing with us being heroes, and what makes us a hero is our connection in our body with the world above and the world below. And we do this with our mind, and we do this with our hormones. So when you're looking at the movie Unbreakable, when you're looking at the movie Split, when you're looking at the movie Glass, what you're looking at is a personification of glands in the brain and the hormones that they secrete and their effects on the body. Just that simple. But it's real, like, it's real flat because he doesn't want it to be too magnificent. If you notice, he was leading everybody on in Glass when he was like the Osaka Tower. The big showdown's gonna go down at the Osaka Tower. What did they call the Osaka Tower? They called it a true marvel, like Marvel Comics. So you thinking they about to have this big Marvel CGI battle? No, it took place right in the parking lot. It was like, this is a real story, bruh. You know what I mean? Ain't underwear over tights and pleather boots, okay? We about to get to it. So if you look at this screen right here, we got hypothalamus, we got the pineal gland, we got the pituitary gland, and there's a list of the hormones that they secrete. So the hypothalamus, hypo means below, thalamus is another part of the brain, so it means below the thalamus. And it has networks that branch into the pituitary gland, so the pituitary gland can then secrete something. Then you have the pineal gland. We all know about the third eye. We'll get more in detail of that. And then we got the thyroid gland that deals with our metabolism. Now, the hypothalamus, if you notice, a lot of those hormones, it's called releasing hormone, releasing hormone, releasing hormone, because what these hormones do in the hypothalamus is they tell the pituitary what needs to be secreted, what needs to be made. The pituitary takes that information and it does it. All right? We're going to get more and more into the body as we go along. All right. Now, when we talk about Heru, when we talk about Set, what is that the battle of? It's just circadian rhythm. Don't hate on Set. Because the sun set every day. The sun don't got no problem with Set. It's consistent. We want to give all our praise to the rise, but not to the set. If there wasn't a set, it would never rise. So we got circadian rhythm, which is the rhythm of night and day. Because during the day, what do we do during the day?
Work.
Move around and we work. What do we do at night?
Sleep.
Exactly. And if we working or doing anything other than that, the only thing on our mind is, man, I can't wait to get home so I can go to sleep. You know? Because that's where the real work starts, within. What happens during the day is our eyes, which was so venerated in Kemet, like eye Ra, eye Heru, left eye taken out, eye put back in. You know what I'm saying? It was eye this, eye that, all seeing eye, third eye. The eye is a perfect black box radiator, which is like a black hole where no light escapes. So all this, everything we see doesn't look nothing like this. It only does in our head. It's almost like if I wrote some Spanish, something in Spanish, you only know maybe 3 or 4 words, you know a little Latin, so you do your best to try and figure out what's being said, so you translate it, and you like, okay, KT had to go to the store, he had to get some juice, came back home, he watched Game of Thrones, and he fell asleep. Yeah, that's what it said. But then when you actually get someone who speaks Spanish and they translate it, oh, there's so much more stuff up in there that you skip. So that's what happens with the things that we see. There's things that shoot right by us, but we're not trained to understand those frequencies, so we just make sense of it. Like, that might not be a chair. That might be something else. But you just know it as a chair, so that's what you're going to see. So during the day, we soaking in all this light. Because at nighttime, there's no light. It's not that it's darkness, so to speak, at nighttime. What it really is there's a lack of color. Because if I walk to a body of water at nighttime, that water's black, gray. but during the day, it's blue. If I whip out a flashlight and shine it in the corner, all of a sudden the chair's yellow, the table's brown, but if I turn the flashlight off, it's either black, white, or gray. So at nighttime, when we sleeping, all the light that we collected during the day is used to regenerate our body at nighttime. All the while we deal with deep, inherent psychological issues that are formulated in an augmented reality that we walk through so we can discover ourselves and overcome things. Where do you think that picture come from you see when you're dreaming? That's the light from the day. That's Heru still battling Set as you lay down. So circadian rhythm ain't nothing more than Heru and Set battling. So that means that during the day, you need to get as much Heru as you can, and during nighttime, you got to get as much Set as you can. If you're getting a bunch of Heru at night, you ain't going to get no rest. And that's our problem with health these days. See, when the great elder was speaking in the 80s and the 90s, I can honestly say, because I remember being in 5th grade when my teacher told me, hey, guess what's coming next year? What's coming next year, teacher? The World Wide Web. Spider-Man? Like, what you talking about? We didn't know what that was. Oh, you going to be able to talk? Do you know how we do pen pals? Imagine you could pen pal somebody instantly. It was just like, all right, can we get on to what we talking about today? Because it didn't click. And then slowly but surely, internet made its debut. Now it's a way of life. But in order for you to have internet, in order for you to have a phone and all that stuff, you got to have Wi-Fi. You got to have blue light toxicity coming out of the screens. We're living in a microwave world that didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. And we have to take account of that effect outside of the food. So we used to be scared of getting locked up and get thrown in a physical prison. Well, we're voluntarily putting ourselves in light prisons. Phil Valentine used to refer to it back in the day as light code lockdown. Where you can't even be creative because that blue light is neutralizing melanopsin in your eyes. You don't even know it. You can't even build up the dopamine to have a thought, to be creative. You start looking at your girl a certain way, just making up stuff in your head while you don't like about her, pick a fight. You know what I'm saying? All these things start having your character starts to fall apart. All because of light. Oh, so this is why Heru is everywhere, I guess, huh? Because this is why they federated the sun and it had little hands with arms coming out of it. We thought it was cute when we was, oh, look at little hands with the onks. Oh, man. No, they're saying that the sun gives divine life in the form of light to you, if you're willing to receive it. But if you're covered in the coolest gear and the rubber sneakers, and this is blocked off, and this is blocked off, and you outside of the tropical zone in a vitamin D winter, man, you can't expect your body to do anything your ancestors were doing because they was half butt naked in the sun, walking barefoot. No windows. You see them temples? There's big old spaces for the sun to come in. Were they afraid anybody was going to come in at night? No, because if they did, they had the right to grab the obsidian blade and send your head rolling somewhere. He stepped in my premises. And everybody know because it's 3 in the morning, bro, what was you doing walking in dude's window at 3? You should be asleep, you know? So this is a chart showing circadian rhythm. I know it's a lot of stuff going on here, so just to kind of break it down, you got the light visible spectrum up there, the visible spectrum and color. This is the way you need to understand color. Color is nothing more than a visual identification of a frequency. Because if we use a walkie-talkie, you can't see the waves going back and forth. But you could see a red flashlight or a blue flashlight or a green flashlight, and all that is a particular frequency on the electromagnetic spectrum that happens to be in this little small narrow field where you can actually see it with your eyes. So when the sun rises, the sun is full of color. It's predominantly red and blue. I didn't make that up. It just happens to be red and blue. And the red and blue dominant colors come in and they start turning on parts of your brain. Turns on your pineal gland, turns on your suprachiasmatic nucleus, your PVN, all these little centers in your brain, they start working. Why? Because the light came in. If there was no light stimulation, then it ain't gonna start working. So what happens when I get up at noon? Oh, they rushing. Oh, snap. Spilling coffee on themselves. Donuts is falling down the steps. Because they trying to open up the business. Because they late. Because you got up late. We're supposed to get up with the sun every day and salute it. And it'll salute us by programming our body to be prepared for the rest of the day. And that's why we're usually chasing our tails. Because we missed that window. And we're just trying to catch up. And before we know it, we're like, dang, man, it's like 9 o'clock. Where did the day go? You never started your day, technically. All right? So the blue light, you see the blue light coming in right here. Blue light's not bad. Blue light's bad coming off these screens. Facebook, Instagram, Google, they all have patents on a wavelength of blue light that they specifically use on all their programs to desensitize you and have you turn into just an online shopper or somebody who's easily suggested. Now this sounds like conspiracy theory, so I just challenge you, y'all go Google and the patent is online and they don't deny it either. They don't deny it. You see it. Look at the youth. I mean, I was shocked and amazed that they didn't have no phone in their hand when they walked up here. Because that thing is, we're like cyborgs now. It's attached to the hip. It's part of our society. I gotta, hold on, wait a minute, where's my, you know what I mean? You lose your mind. Pink, yellow, green, purple, all of those is part of the color spectrum. Now, when we look inside of our eyes, we have a retina. The retinas have rods and cones. The rods is black and white in your peripheral vision, and the cones is for your color. But the color is only blue, green, and red. That's it. Why? Because they're primary colors, and no matter how you mix them, you can create any other color out of it the same way. If you go to the store and I say, yo, I need some printer ink, are you going to find a color printer ink, or is it going to be CMYK? It's going to be a pack of red, blue, yeah, you put that in the printer and they mix them and then you can make any color you want out of it. Your eyes are the same way. The pixels on a television screen, same way. Alright? So this is a picture of the pineal gland. Alright? The reason why I'm starting with the pineal gland is because we're talking about becoming unbreakable in 2019. Talking about a trilogy of Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. It starts with Unbreakable. Unbreakable was about who? Bruce Willis' character, David Dunn, a.k.a. the Overseer. These three characters represented these glands of the body. He was the pineal. Okay? Elijah Price, a.k.a. Mr. Glass, was the pituitary. And your boy with all the personalities was the hypothalamus, because the hypothalamus got all these different things it got to do. 1 minute is hot, next minute is cold, the next minute is nourishing you, the next minute is whipping your behind. This is what the hypothalamus doing. All his personalities represented the different nuclei that's in your hypothalamus. And then it was genetic, because it was 23 personalities. That's how many chromosomes it takes in order for a woman to give up for a child and a man to give up for a child to make 46. So it's 23 and 23 make 46. He had 23 personalities, which gave birth to the beast, 666. You know? I'm jumping ahead. But pituitary gland, this is what it looked like. I don't know if y'all ever seen an actual picture of a pineal gland, but this is it right here. Okay? And this one is kind of light because of the light being on right here, right now. So I can read it off the screen. I can make it bigger. So the two stalks right there, right? Those are the superior root and the inferior root. All right? And then you have the main stalk, the body and the apex. Apex at the top, just like at the top of a pyramid. Body, stalk, right? And then upper and lower roots. Okay? This pineal gland sits right at like a shore. You know, you stand on the shore of a beach and the water, the tide comes in. It sits at the shore of your, the 4 ventricles of your brain. You got 2 lateral ventricles, a 3rd ventricle, and a 4th ventricle. It's shaped like a ram. That's why rams was a Kemet so deep, because you have a fluid system that feeds your brain, and the fluid system, the ventricles, the 4 ventricles, you can Google them on your phone right now, 4 ventricles of the brain. It looks like a ram. It has 2 horns, it has a pointy face, and it has a neck. And it sits in your head. And this pineal gland sits right at the bank of one of the openings of it, so that it can be able to connect with that water. All right? And I'm going to get into why, you know, he had his allergy to the water, why he had a problem with water so much. So the pineal gland, what do we know the pineal gland as? Third eye, right? What was one of his powers? He bumped into somebody, and he know you were doing wrong, or you were doing evil. If you was really evil, he would get a real strong hit. You know, if you just stole a Snicker bar out the store, then, you know, it wouldn't be so bad. But that ESP, that clairvoyance and all of that, that has to deal with what? The all-seeing eye. You got 2 eyes that see all this, but then you got this inner eye that don't miss nothing because it's based on vibration. His was based on vibration because someone would have to run into him, and he would have to feel their vibe. And then the pineal gland being so strong, it was able to pick up those subtleties and then do what? Create an augmented reality in his head that put him right there where he needed to be. That's how he knew that family got abducted, and then he went after them. All right, so this is the scene out of Glass where you got the tank outside of the asylum, and then when it busts, because him and Kevin, the beast, was fighting inside of the tank, and it busted, and then the water busted out, but then they did a close-up of the ground showing the water spilling out, falling into this puddle, because this is the puddle where he died at. And it's like, yo, how you this strong? How you got all this power? You allergic to water? What's going on? And they gave the story. They was like, oh, I swallowed a little bit more water when I was a little kid. You know what I'm saying? Da-da-da-da. But let me tell you this. I don't know if everybody ain't noticed this, but this is something I noticed. He never had a problem with natural sources of water. Like, he didn't choke drinking water. You never saw him in a river, a pond, a lake, the sea, an ocean. It was a pool. This puddle was formed because that broke. So what are they really saying? Is it really water he has a problem with, or is it certain states of water that really hurt him? Like fluoride being in the water. Because if you're dealing with pool water, you're talking about chlorine. You're talking about all types of chemicals. Now, you know if they filled this tank up specifically for him, because this is what he was getting sprayed with in his room, you know they treated that water. That was not no fresh Icelandic glacier water. You know what I'm saying, from the Arctic? So, we know that fluoride is bad for us. They still try to push it like it's something good, but we know they used them in the Holocaust. We know there used to be rat poison at one point in time. And these are all the side effects: cancer, brain damage in unborn fetus, bone weakness, dental fluorosis, low estrogen and testosterone levels, damages stomach, joint problems, skeletal fluorosis, osteoarthritis and accelerates osteoporosis, lowers IQ, memory loss, on and on and on and on. So, we're talking about a calcified pineal gland. Now, this is why his power, this is why he would lose all his power, because he is the pineal gland. So if you fluoridate a pineal gland, that's how you calcify it. You don't calcify a pineal gland with calcium. That's something that we got kind of confused. We hear calcified pineal, we're like, oh man, I thought calcium was good, but I'm calcifying my pineal. No, fluoride calcifies your pineal. Because your pineal is made of calcium. You even know your pineal gland was like a bone, because it's filled with calcite. Hold on. Uno momento. I got my little box of tricks over here. But this is called Icelandic spar. Icelandic spar. This is called a birefringent crystal. Why is it called birefringent? Because, I'm going to show, let's see. Alright, so you could read that very easily, right? All those words. You don't have to read it out loud, but you can read what's on the paper, right? Alright, now when I put the crystal on there, what happens to the words?
I can still see it, like it doubles.
It doubles, thank you. That's all I was looking for. Alright, so if I shine a light through this crystal that your pineal gland is made of, these crystals right here, this is it's kind of dark in here so you can't really see the light, but this is a UV flashlight. You shine a light through this crystal, what ends up happening is this beam of light gets split into time. It turns this beam of light into two realities. One light goes one way, then the other light goes another way. Birefringence, meaning birefraction. It's splitting the light beam, but not in half. Like two of me, like another KT's over there, and we both breaking the movie down. Like, good, I can sit down for a second, you go. You know? So we have, our pineal gland is filled with these calcite crystals with certain geometrical shapes, and because of the other property that calcite got, if I shoot this UV at this for the next like maybe minute and we hit the lights, it's going to glow on its own based on the stimulus of the UV light. So UV light makes our calcite glow. Calcite's in our pineal, and the pineal got something to do with third eye and inner vision. Now you see where the light comes from. Now you see how pictures can be made because of the crystal. Now we know how information can be stored because of this calcium carbonate. Because that's what the chemical makeup is carbon and calcium. Calcium carbonate. So when you consume too much fluoride, the fluoride causes that calcium to start aggregating together. And then you have something called calcification of the pineal. And do you know what calcification of the pineal will do to you? The brother was just up here a second ago. We stood in a circle. There was something he asked